Welcome to Tycoons of Small Biz, a podcast where small business owners are celebrated as the backbone of the American economy. Each week, we introduce you to tycoons who share their stories and advice so that small business owners may learn from their experiences. Tycoons is powered by Backbone Planning Partners, FinTrepid Solutions, and Pivotal Advisors. Join us now as our hosts connect you to today's tycoons.
Good afternoon, Tycoons, and welcome to today's episode of Tycoons of Small Biz. I am your host here, as always, Austin Peterson, coming to you live from Gilbert, Arizona, where it is a beautiful 81 degrees and sunny. It's getting to be the best time of year to live in Arizona, so we're excited about that. If you're listening to our podcast today for the first time and you're wondering what it is that we do here at Tycoons of Small Biz, we are a podcast that's put together by small business owners for small business owners. We literally interview a new business owner every single week, have been doing so since May 5th of 2020. This is episode 127. And our whole goal is to prop up the small business community. The small business owners in this country are truly the backbone of the American economy. And we want to do whatever we can to help prop them up and allow them to share their stories. So we invite somebody on every single week to tell their story, talk about their successes, talk about their failures, anything that they feel would be beneficial to the rest of the small business owner community. So with that being said, today we definitely have a tycoon of small biz on the program. We've got somebody from the deep South. So we're excited to hear from Charlie Rick, owner, CEO, and founder of Charlie Rick LLC out of Lake Pontchartrain, Louisiana. Charlie, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And it's actually a few companies. It's Charlie Rick LLC, Charlie Rick Homes, Charlie Rick Cabinet Flooring, Charlie Rick Engineering, and Charlie Rick Construction, Charlie Rick Investments. Kind of a company named after each area of business that we're in. Trying to get a survey company now, to be honest.
All right. Yeah, I remember when we had our pre-qualification call with you, you had several companies that you were already running and others that you were getting ready to open. So we're excited to kind of dig in and talk about that. But before we get into the business side of things, I want to start with the personal side. I mean, we're sitting here. I can see you on video. I can see a picture of what I assume is your family right behind you. So tell us about Charlie Rick, the person. Where did you grow up? What was life like growing up? What's life like today? And then we'll jump into the business side.
Grew up in the country town called Amite. Moved a lot when I was younger, so Ponchatoula, Hammond, Amite. It was pretty tough growing up. I just it is what it is, right? So I guess where I'm at now, I'm in Mandeville and moved over here 17 years ago when I had a kid, and been here ever since. I love it here. Coming from Amite, there's nothing there. There's really no growth there. There's no opportunities there. It's hard for a person to make it in Amite. Might be 1% out of 100 that might do well there. So I chose a different path, chose to move out of parish, come over here, and it's a different way of living here. You know, it's kind of like people in Mandeville. It's like, you're knocking on someone's door here. A lot of times they're like, why are you knocking on the door? But if you're knocking on the door to go to work, they're like, oh yes, real great. They're all about business development here and about helping families grow and businesses grow and opportunities, where it's in Tangipahoa Parish, it's all about partying and lighting fires and, wilding out, and so I chose to come over here and do this. I have a little girl named Natalie. She's in college and she's going to school for design drafting. She's trying to learn how to read blueprints and draft blueprints to help me run the business, because she's very good with numbers and we think a lot alike, and I've been kind of mentoring her since she's been a baby. Obviously, I got one child. I'm hoping that she comes in here and helps me just knock this out the park, because I sure need another person like me in here thinking like I think. Really. And then I got a wife, Carla. She's great. She helps out a lot. My whole business is family. Like, that's one reason I like my business. It's family owned and operated. All of us together, we live, we grow, we hang out, we work together, we visit, and it's almost like you get to work with your family. And a lot of times, to be successful, you have to disappear from your family. Well, in this situation, I like it because you don't disappear. You're with family and you're working together and you're growing together, and that's very good. That way you can actually make money, still hang out, and then when you have a business party, it's really a family party. And so when it comes to my family, my blood, what really matters in life. That's really what all this is about. When you die, like, what is your out? What are you leaving for everyone? Do you want them to suffer like you did when you're younger? Do you want to build people, mentor people, guide people, make sure everybody's doing great? If they're not doing great, try to figure out why they're not doing great, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's my family. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So you're Charlie Rick the third. So tell us about Charlie Rick Jr. and Charlie Rick Sr.
Okay. Well, Charlie Rick Jr. is my dad. He owns Cypress Sawmill. He's a business owner. And then you got Charlie Rick Sr. He owned Rick's Automotive and Name Eaton. And so all the Charlie Ricks have always been business owners. I don't recall knowing one Charlie Rick that's ever worked for someone. They always work for themselves, got to get it themselves, got to figure it out on their own. And so that's basically, it's a bloodline thing. I think it's something to do with the Charlie Rick thing. I don't know. We all got to, it's like what I'm trying to do with the name Charlie Rick is branded. I'm trying to, nobody's ever named a company Charlie Rick before. And so I chose the name Charlie Rick as inspiration a little bit, almost to, stand up for my family bloodline and stand up for, what the Ricks, stand for. And so that's kind of, what I try to do. I try to focus on being productive and yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely literally runs through your blood. Entrepreneurship does.
Yeah. Well, my mama had me at 7 years old painting. When I was at 7, she had me in front of a freaking vanity. She said she put the paint on fast as you can, and you go from top to bottom and bottom to top, and it leaves a straight streak. And so even when I was like 9 years old, I was climbing ladders, and my whole family messes with me on it. It's because I was up on a ladder, and it was like 9 feet in the air, and my grandma and everybody looked at me, and it was like, boy, get your ass down from there. And I was like, what, you chank? I can't chime a ladder? And so now everybody says that to me, and they mess with, I had a speech problem, so what, you chank? I can't chime a ladder. Well, that's been since I've been like 8, 9 years old. And so I've been in the construction business and been doing these things for a long time. To be honest with you, my grandpa also had us on roofs at a young age, putting screws and changing metal and fixing washing machines, and stepdads and stuff working on mowers and 4-wheelers, and before you realize it, you don't. It's so simple, doing construction, doing anything in life is so simple sometimes that it just blows my mind. It's all about whether or not we choose to do it or not choose to do it. And so, like, if my car breaks down, right, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with it. If something's leaking in a wall over there, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with it. If your house is settling, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with it. If there's a problem that someone can't figure out, I'm about to figure out what's wrong with it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty common thread in most entrepreneurs is they either find a problem that needs solving, or they're good at solving problems, and they literally build their businesses around that. And you've clearly, obviously, done that in your own life.
That's one of the things I'm good at, building businesses and business development.
Yeah. So one of the things that you mentioned already, Charlie, you talked about your daughter and mentoring her, but in our pre-qualification meeting, we talked a lot about the love that you have for mentoring in general. So give us kind of your feedback or your thoughts on why you think mentoring is so important, because you're still building your business. You're not an old guy. You're still in the building phase, and hopefully you have mentors yourself as well. But why is mentoring so important to you?
I would say this: growing up poor, growing up in the sticks, just growing up in the streets in general, being left at home a lot as a child, not having nobody teach me things. I would say the reason why I love mentoring is because so many people grow up that way, and a lot of people are just thrown out in the water and just expected just to survive or not survive. And so I really enjoy passing on knowledge. I try to share knowledge. A lot of people try to keep that knowledge in. I don't like keeping the knowledge in. A lot of people like, oh my God, they're gonna take my business. I don't do that. I share every bit of information that I get. Every time a person teaches me something, every time I figure it out, I pass that on to the next person, because I feel like if I pass that on to my circle and to the people around me, I'm surrounding myself with like-minded situations, meaning they're going to learn from me. I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to build them. They're going to build me. And as long as my circle is strong, that means we're going to grow and we're going to be strong. And so mentoring to me is key to that. Without mentoring and just keeping it all to yourself, how can anybody grow around you? And then another thing is kind of like, I never really try to like, it's kind of like, here's one, Mr. Bill, he still thinks he did nothing for me, right? But yet he just kind of reached out to me and just kind of said, you know, some things to me. Like we was going to church one day and he just said, Charlie, you know, you need to open a business. I'm like, I tried that already. I'm not doing it anymore. He's like, well, did you do this and this and this? And I was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, well, did you do a web page? Well, no, I think you should do a web page. I said, let's do a web page. He says, well, did you do a business show? I said, no. Did you do a brochure? I said, no. He says, did you do this, 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 this? I said, no. He's like, well, you need to do it. So I started this. He said, did you ever join a group? I said, I ain't joining no group. And he says, you need to join a group. I said, okay, I joined a group. Well, just somebody reaching out a little bit, just believing in you and just talking to you and just like, you know, showing just a little bit of interest and teaching you some of the common things that are so simple, like just simple, like a business shirt. Come on, you know, and then learning how to brand something is like, wait a minute, what? Brand what? What do you mean? What am I going to brand? Well, you need to, you know, brand what you're doing. I was like, well, it's construction. It's like, well, you need to brand you. And so I realized that I needed to brand myself when he helped me brand myself. And then it took me a little while to really learn it. But when I finally just triggered to it, I realized that I'm branded, right? And so he told me one time, he says, you know, the moment you realize that your business is alive, it's the moment your phone rings without advertising, without doing anything. Well, my stuff rings without advertising or doing anything. And so like I was in a business alliance group, West St. Tammany Business Alliance, because of him. And I had opportunities to do presentations or treat the meeting as a board of directors. Well, I chose many times as a board of directors, and I would, you know, run my problems out there, tell people about things and stuff, and they would write their notes down, put it in a bag, give it to me, I'd read them, you know. And a lot of times I'm like, that's whatever, that's BS. But a lot of times what happens is when you're explaining it and you're hearing people holding that conversation with you back and forth and stuff or whatever, you start recognizing you really understood how to do it. You just didn't see it because it was so simple that you was looking at the complicated stuff and not the simple things. And so a lot of times in these groups, me being young, I was probably 28 when I first started. I'm 41 now. I didn't realize that a lot of these guys were older men, you know, 45, 55 years old, very successful people. I never realized it because I don't really look at that stuff. I look at the individual and I focus on that, even if they're famous or whatever. I don't really ever look at that. So to me, I never really recognized, but here I am now as an older man, well, 41, not older man, but you know, I'm the age they was, and I look back and realize they mentored me, give me advice, give me guidance, you know, and and one thing they always did to me is they told me to pick one thing and be good at it. And one of my repeats of them is I do pick one thing and I'm good at it, and that's me. I never really know. I've never been successful at one thing, but I'm successful at what I do, and that's anything. And the reason when they like, well, you can't be good at everything. Well, I am. So I don't know what to say. I enjoy it. And then I also enjoy new things. Like, you know, one of the things I'm going after now is like some development, like learning zoning, learning house building, learning all those things. And so I know we're talking about mentoring. I'm gonna go back to mentoring. I can get sidetracked real quick. I would say this: mentoring is key to all success, and I'll always pass my information off to anyone willing to take it, because if we don't mentor each other and grow each other, what are we gonna have? Success by ourselves? I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for success in a circle, in a group. I'm looking for something massive. By myself, I'm just a small man, but with a group, I'm not. And so that's how I think about mentoring.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great way to look at it. The reality is we all become more successful by helping other people become successful. And I think that's, you know, it gets missed an awful lot by a lot of people. I actually was in a meeting this morning with some people from my peer mentoring group. And we were talking about just, you know, some struggles. There's a member of our group that's having, you know, pretty significant slowdown in their business, and they're worried about cutting costs and how do you do this and how do you do that. And one of the things that they're considering is leaving our peer group because of the cost that's involved, as well as the time commitment. And, you know, I think that the money has to be there regardless, right? I mean, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, but we were just talking through like what that was going to mean to this person if they left the group. And the question was actually asked about finances and what it was going to mean to her finances. But the first response that she gave was, she talked about how, they talk about you being the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? And if she steps out of this group and she's just working with her employees day in and day out, she takes a step back, right? Because none of them are business owners. It's not that they're smart or not smart or, any of that. It's that they're not in the same position as she is in running and owning and operating her business. And by having an opportunity once a month or twice a month to get together with other small business owners who are going through some of the same struggles, who have seen certain things that maybe she hasn't seen, and what that means to her personally, I think it's going to make it even harder for her to leave the group if she just ultimately can't afford to stay in it, like she's the type I was just going to say, she's the type that when business turns around, she'll rejoin it because she sees the value and knows that the value's there. But if the money's not there, the money's not there.
Well, if the money ain't there, it's all more important to work on the business, not in it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're working in your business, it's just not going nowhere. You got to work on it in order to push it, right? It also sounds like y'all should offer her a few months for free or something, just to see if she can be changed around and maybe try to offer some guidance. Yeah, that's just thought that's what it sounded like.
Yeah. So we actually, we put that out there, and she was a little standoffish a little bit, and we just talked about, sometimes you just have to be humble and take help where it's needed, because, we would do that because we care about you and we care about your business and we care about you being a part of this group, because it's valuable to us to have you in the group regardless. And so everybody needs some help at some point.
I went through the phases thinking I didn't want to be in groups too. And what I did is, every time I usually join a group 3 or 4 years, after 3 or 4 years, I usually leave the group. But what I try to do is put someone else in that group. And so right now I have 3 people in groups. I think it's a very important thing to network in the business world. I think it's very important to get anybody from your company in front of other business owners giving presentations. I think it's very important for people to give presentations, prepare for them, be professional, and go sit there and stand there once a week like I would as a businessman, so that they understand how it is to run a business and teach that side of the business. And then, through networking, I really don't go to networking for money. I go to networking for schooling. I go to networking to see mistakes and to see things that aren't mistakes and to see what other people are doing and stuff. And I also go to network for repeat. I like to repeat every week. That's that sales pitch. I like to build that knowledge, that schooling, that stuff we need as business owners in order to succeed, or to, because one thing that sells jobs, man, is knowledge, having answers, right? You lose that network or whatever, and somebody asks you for that referral and you don't have it. What if somebody else that does what you do has their referral? Guess where they're going? They're not going to you, they're going to that other person. That other person got all the answers, everything I need. And so having those connections and that knowledge and that experience teaches us not to be shy, not to be emotional like that first time you get a 10-minute presentation, like I'm sure everybody, I still remember that very first presentation, like shaking almost, And so probably tears in my damn eyes too. But, really, man, networking, bro, is just that important. And I don't pay a single dime for advertising. All through network. Repeat clients. Usually if you get a client from networking, that is a lifetime client. If I have let's say we got 12 of us in a networking group. You're successful, I'm successful, we're all successful. There's a reason we are all successful. We all successful because connections. We all successful because of the core we built, and we have a bunch of people depending on us for knowledge somewhere along the line, referrals, somebody that respects you. Well, who do you want referring you? You want somebody referring you to their circle. That's who I want. I want a whole entire circle. Is your circle 50,000 people, buddy? What's up, man? Mine might be. You want some referrals from me? Let's get to know each other. It's almost like we're pre-damping each other, checking each other out, making sure we legit, making sure we honest, making sure we paying our taxes, making sure we following the rules. All that's important to me. Owning people up. Hey, you didn't show up 3 times in a row, dude. What's going on? We can't help you if you ain't here. that's networking is very important. That's a dangerous ground to leave, networking, especially if your company is starting to lose money, because that's all more power to be in that group. That's just my thoughts. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about something that I've seen, I don't know, probably hundreds of times in my career and also my personal life. I don't know if we talked about this before, but I grew up on a farm and then had a dad who was a stucco contractor, right? So the construction business, had an uncle that was a stucco contractor, just kind of a construction family. So, I know what it's like to be in your shoes, so to speak, to a certain extent. But also on the professional side with what I do today, I see it an awful lot with my clients. And that's that business owners, specifically in the construction industry, have a hard time knowing when to put the tools down and to become the business owner. So talk to us a little bit about that process for you.
That was very hard. I would probably say this is my first year. I will not touch a tool. I will not touch a tool. I don't care. I will not touch a tool. All right. The moment I put my hands on tools, the most I probably made in a day, $1,000. Took my hands off tools. I've literally cleared $20,000-$25,000 in a day before. Like literally, like blows your mind the amount of money you can make using your mind. Okay. So what I realized when I did that, what I realized is that there's a difference between a blue collar and a white collar. A blue collar is physical, active. They're the one completing the work. A white collar is the one thinking, using their mind, they're overseeing. Okay. I have an advantage because I'm from a blue collar side of work, and I'm also growing into a white collar side of work. And there's a lot of white collar people that love me, but there's also a lot of blue collar people that love me. I recognize that strength, and I become the middle grounds between white collar and blue collars. It's hard to relate with both. I'll tell you, sometimes I struggle. There's some white collars I just can't talk to, it's too much, but there's also some blue collars that I just can't talk to. So one of the things this is what I did. All right. In order to get out the field, you got to literally sit back and work on the company. You got to make plans. You got to be the vision. You got to set goals, and you got to push those plans and that vision forward. Well, in order to get out of the field, you got to have other people in the field. And so what I started doing is creating like this business mentality thing to where I train like these project managers to run their business. Their business is that one job that I give them. They got 5 jobs. Each job is a business to me. Even though it's project managing, it's their business. So what I do is we have like this ratio we come up with. It's like 7% of total job comes to the store, which is the base operation. Materials come off, laborers come off, and then whatever's left, we split 50-50. All right, but it's their job to do everything with that job. And then the store comes over here and we check their commission and go over everything. This is my first year doing that, and I have created myself at least 4 times. And I'm gonna tell you, it is the best move I have ever done. Right? I'm not paying hourly to these guys. I'm sharing profits to these guys, but I'm allowing these guys to make $100, $150, $200,000 a year. They can make $500,000 a year. You know why? Because if they do, that means I'm making the same thing. So now what I'm doing is I'm mentoring them, I'm guiding them, I'm teaching them how to create that business, how to grow that business. I'm giving them work, I'm helping them with sales, I'm helping them with like if they have a problem that they can't figure out, I'm helping fund things while they're building their money. Like I'm helping them with their growth, making sure that like I'm watching every little detail. If I see them fall off cue, I call them every morning, bam, 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 bam. I help them with strategy. And so my job has become in a situation where I'm overseeing only like 4 people now, right? Which is freaking awesome. I love it because now I don't have to have 30 people, 40 people every given morning calling me, talking about what I'm doing today. I ain't got that. Now I got 3 or 4 people and they're calling me and their people calling them now. And so, the purpose that I would say to take yourself out of a business is because if you want real growth and you want to have a less stressful life, 8 to 5, matter of fact, here we go. We wake up in the morning, we get ready at 7, brush our teeth, get some water, go to work, bust the ass all day, come home, get a shower, go to the office, work till 11, go back, repeat 7 days a week. No, right? I just can't do it. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I've had a few surgeries. I had back surgeries. I lost my voice for 6 months. I caught COVID for like long-term COVID in the beginning of the year where I almost died. I ended up with like all kind of problems and stuff. And I'm like, COVID ain't shit. And really, it ain't. It was really the double pneumonia they called me, but whatever, But every time something happened, right, I made a decision that changed. Like when I had surgery, I couldn't work. So you know what I did? I left that friggin' hospital and I went to a job and pulled me a chair up and I sat there and I told people what to do all day, right? Every time I lost my voice, I went and did the same thing. I got on COVID. I'm sitting in bed calling everybody, working it out, trying to make sure that, everything is still flowing. But then during those moments that I've had to take off from work and I couldn't physically work, my income went up. Right? I'm losing my voice, sorry.
You're fine.
And so I guess through that process, I'm sorry, I'm losing my throat.
Okay. You need to grab a drink?
Yeah, in a minute. So through that process, I realized that I didn't have to physically work to make money, that I can actually raise my income by not working. And so I went down that path of doing that and made those changes. And through those changes, that's where I'm at now, is through thinking and realizing that I can make money through thinking and just watching over others and helping them with their thinking and their strategy. And by doing that, that is allowing us all to make more money. I mean, I got guys making now what I was making yearly. And so now another thing I know is if I create wealth in others, at some point wealth is created in me. If I give 10 people $300,000 a year, when I retire, I get $300,000 a year. And so that's a big focus of mine too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully people are listening and aren't waiting for the time that they're in the hospital dealing with COVID or whatever else it may be, back surgery, all those types of things that you went through, to push them to say, okay, I need to look at this differently, right? It's not that it's not okay to be, we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show. I've talked about it with my business partner, but if you want to be a handyman and just go out and do jobs all day, every day, you can still make a pretty darn good living doing that. But if you're really trying to build a business, you're going to hit that plateau. And so you've got to have other people doing the things that you were doing day to day so that you can run the business and replicate yourself, right? So I think there's a lot to unpack there. I'm actually going to give you a quick second here. We're going to do a quick call to action for our listeners, give you a second to grab a drink. And then I want to come back and unpack a little bit more about what you're dealing with as well.
All right.
Hey there, Tycoons. Austin Peterson here, co-host of Tycoons of Small Biz. If you think you have what it takes to be considered a tycoon and you're wondering how you could become a featured guest, please follow and then message us at Tycoons of Small Biz on LinkedIn. We'd love to have a conversation with you to see if it is a mutually good fit, and if so, we'll get you scheduled for an interview. If you're unsure about being a guest on our podcast, but are contemplating selling your business over the next few years and you'd like to know what your business is worth, please also follow us and then message us on LinkedIn for your no obligation, informal valuation of your business. We look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for listening to the Tycoons of Small Biz podcast. And now, back to today's program.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Oh, it's my fault.
Oh,
I was muted. All right. So let me start that again. Welcome back, Tycoons. We're here with Charlie Rick from Charlie Rick LLC out of Lake Pontchartrain, Louisiana. Hopefully he's got his voice back now. But before we went to break, Charlie, we were talking about what it was that you were doing specifically to kind of replicate yourself, but more than that, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things that you mentioned specifically. Is that you're really helping other people build their own businesses. And by doing that, you've not only replicated yourself and grown your business, but you're helping people to build their own businesses. And what's really happening is, rather than paying them an hourly wage and them feeling and acting like your employee, they're now acting like a business owner and your business partner. And they are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're motivated to be even more successful and to work harder and to do things the right way, which then leads to both of you being more successful.
Correct. Yes. So I actually hired a lady that's helping me with what do you call it? She's supposed to be helping me, like, guide me. I can't think of the name right now, but I think it's like business coaching, I think. And so one of the things we're working on is like shareable stock, not really public, but like in-house shareable stock to give people ownership, where it's like 10, 12, 15 years, however that rule is. And then if they mess up, they lose those stock, but if they don't, they gain it. But it also is a way to give them ownership and give them a sense of feeling like part of the company. The reason why I'm doing that this way is because, like, I ain't always been looking for my out, but I'm looking for my out right now. Not necessarily all the way out. I'm looking to, one, either be able to enjoy my business again the way I really used to. One thing I love doing is I love bringing people out to eat. I love having conversations about business. I love, one-to-ones. Like, I love going to these events to where I get certified. I love going to classes. I love going to, like, Vegas to go to these, like, with these shows. And like, I got one I'm going to in Texas that I'm excited about. I love growing my business and bringing it to the next level and just learning things. Like, I'm about to learn about zoning and like subdivision development. And, I love learning about the plans and the back scenes of it and how to create it. I love learning about the surveys, all those things. And really, I really just truly enjoy broadening my reach. Well, if I want to do those things, I have to make money, right? Well, in order to make money, somebody has to make it. So what I do is I'm the brains, and then I'm teaching other people how to be the brains. And then that's being transferred down, and being self-motivated is very key. I will tell you that during the pandemic, I lost a big bunch of people, man, but I figured out how to get everybody back, and not all the same ones, but different people. And I'm doing it a little different this time. And every time I fail, I figure out another way to do it again. And every time I fail, I do it again. And it's like repeat. And I fail and win, and fail and win. And I think I've done failed and won so many times back and forth through lessons and trial and error and all that stuff that I got it mastered now. And so I'm trying to teach others to do it. Now, some people get scared. Oh my God, they're going to take your business from you. They're going to do this. Well, one, they all got a business phone. You know what I mean? They all represent Charlie Rick. You got to carry all the licenses, all the insurances. You got to make sure everybody's paying taxes, have the W-2s, have a bookkeeper, have the accountant. You got to have all that stuff. You're not just going to sit here and just run a business like me and do it unless you're willing to go out there and put out $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month and all of these operation expenses. It takes a lot of money. And then another thing, let's say we're in a group together, right? And I'm a contractor, you want to bring a contractor to join, you know what I'm going to tell you? Sure. Why not? Well, a lot of people are like, oh no, it's competition. I'm being hired because of who I am and what I stand for. He gonna be hired because of what he is and what he stands for. And whoever would hire him would hire me in the first place. You see what I mean? And so that's kind of, like where I'm at. It's kind of like, if I train all these businesses, some may leave, some may not. But you know what's gonna happen, man? I'm gonna build respect. I'm gonna build a family. Well, most of us family anyways. But I'm gonna build a need of each other. And what I'm also doing is building businesses to pass business to each other to where we keep it in the circle. This business pays this business, this business pays this business, this business pays this business. There's going to be a need. So I need more businesses. I need more groups. I need more cores. I need solid cores. I need people that are strong, like-minded, think like me, understand what I'm thinking, pushing the same image I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Pushing the same brand, speaking the same way, selling products the same way. You know what I mean? The same image. Like, as long as we all pushing the same thing, we can operate like a corporation and not even be one. I don't have to be this big time company to operate the way big time companies work. And without a system in place, without something in line, our growth is going to be limited. and we're going to be stuck. We're going to be stuck at like C when I want to be a Z. You know what I mean? And so, you know, that's why I'm building businesses, because I'm seeing a big picture. Is what I'm saying. I'm seeing a picture that's beyond what I can even imagine. And sometimes I try to look at what that imagination is, and I can't see it, but I still can see the direction. Like I used to see that end game, but I done hit the end game. I done made it to where I thought I wanted to be, right? I done that 3 or 4 times, and I keep surpassing that. I keep passing it. So then I got to a point now to where I don't try to see where the end game is. That's an out technically, but how do you get out, right? Do you want to pass your company to your business? Do you want your company to pay you dividends? Why do I say company to business, but to like my daughter, my family? Do I want to like let somebody buy me out and just give me 10%? I don't know. I haven't really thought that far. I just really want to be able to travel the world and, you know, see things I never could as a child and be able to help people along the way. And if I do physically work for free or something, you know what I mean? Like I've always enjoyed working for free more than I do working for money. And that's another reason why I've kind of taken myself out the picture, because what used to be fun now has become a job. You know what I mean? And so, yes, that's a blessing that I can make money off of stuff I used to do for free as a child. But now that I made money doing it, it's like it's different. So then I'd rather just do the thinking and let other people physically make the money. And then at some point in life, when I semi-retire or something, I'd love to go out and volunteer and maybe renovate houses or something for free and just kind of like just give my time just in general. Because I find that that's more like warming when you do something like that than it is when you physically get paid. And so I try to separate the two, but you know, I don't know. I just got off sidetrack. You got to keep me straight, man, because I will get sidetracked quick.
No, you're doing fine, Charlie. I think that, you know, there's some important things that you said there. I mean, the reality is you work with somebody as a business partner, they treat you differently than they do as one of your employees, and they treat the job and the customers differently than they do if they're an employee. And it's hard because I think sometimes we, as people, not even as business owners, but as people, we have this, you know, mentality of I got to keep my stuff close to the vest, right? I can't, if I share my profit with them, then that's less profit for me. Well, no, we got to have this abundance mentality and realize that as we lift everybody up, there is actually created for everybody.
That is so true. Think about this. 10% of each company created 10 times is 100% to do nothing. I could just create 10 businesses in my image, let them roll, bro. And the day I want to quit, I'm making what they each make because I helped build them. It's very important. We want to retire. We need to be figuring out, because if not, dude, if I'm the company, everybody always says, oh, Charlie, you can't do this because you the company. It takes you to be the company, right? Okay, well, my company runs without me. Just because it has my name on it, says Charlie Rick, doesn't mean it ain't operating. You know what I mean? We're doing like 12 jobs a day sometimes. We're doing like 7 jobs a day sometimes. You know what I mean? It's running. If I go on vacation, I'm making money. When I go on traveling or I'm going to class, I'm making money. If I'm on a plane going somewhere, I'm making money still. You know what I mean? Because I'm teaching, I'm training, I'm mentoring. Instead of going to a class or some networking group, I'm networking my own team. You know what I mean? I'm over here thinking about all my friends, all my buddies, all my contractors, my engineer friends and stuff. And I'm over here like, how can I get them in a networking group that's personal? That's mine. You know what I mean? That's ours that we share. Because that's what we're doing anyways. You know what I mean? And you know, and so, you know, I don't know, man. Sometimes I think a lot of people look at businesses in a different way. And I think if they would just look at the more simple, most common things like a shirt, like a brochure, like a web page, like a brand, like repeating your image and everybody speaking the same thing, and just think more of the simple stuff instead of more complicated stuff, you know, they'll find that everything is very simple in business. Very simple in business. Definitely pay your damn taxes, because I'm gonna tell you this, that's what's really funny. Look, when I was younger, I used to not pay my taxes. I used to scheme the system, bro. I was raised that way. I knew how to do it, right? Like it's simple. But the moment I started paying my taxes, bro, my company kept doubling every year. The more you pay to Uncle Sam, the bigger your company gonna get, because people recognize it and people respect it. That's very key right there. That's a very key point. Pay your taxes. Don't try to hide from the government. Do what you're supposed to. Like my CPA says, show everything. There's always a write-off. Just saying.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the reality is I see it all the time, again, in my business, not to talk about my business, but you got so many business owners who try to pay as little in taxes as possible, which I mean, there's nothing patriotic about paying more than your fair share, right? But that's the key, is your fair share. You do need to pay what you should be paying. But if you build a business your entire career and you file taxes that make it look like you're making a whole heck of a lot less money than you were, then what do you have to be able to sell? You have something that appears to be worth less money than it actually is, because you didn't file your taxes in a way that made sense and that actually showed the true value of your company.
Write-offs are nice. I'll be honest. Write-offs are really nice at first, but this is where I've got to. All right. Through my write-offs over the years, it's shown that, I might have made 80 grand a year, right? But what I did is I built my company up to a point to where even through the write-offs, there's not enough write-offs. My ratio up to like 40, 45% a year. And so I'm like, whoa, how do I get it back down to 35? Matter of fact, how do I get it to 28? I'm over here thinking about land stock because I'm developing houses now. Can I go buy 20 acres of land and it be inventory? Like, is there a way to do that? And so like, I've been kind of branching my mind out there a little differently, like buying all these houses up at once, or, there's a lot of things that I think we could do as business owner to defer, but not pay. And so that's something like I was told the other day that there's a way to leverage money like 4 ways. There's a way to leverage it. I'm about to learn this though. I don't know it all the way, but there's a way to leverage it from the business one way, take it back to the business, and then back out and then back to the business again. I'm so ready to learn that. Like, there's ways to leverage, because one of my questions was to my financial advisor was this. I said, how can I make money off of my flow? She says, what do you mean? I said, well, we got about 800 to $1 million a month going through my account. I would like to know how to make some money off of the cash flow. And so one of the things I asked her to do is come up with ways for me to do that. I don't want stock. I don't want to do all that stuff. I can't lock it up. So what? I can go to the bank and draw the interest off my savings account or my checking account, but that ain't really nothing. Is there a way that I could be flipping that money monthly because of cash flow to make money back? That's one thing I'm very interested in. And so as the company grows, I'm growing. I'm trying to coach myself like I'm coaching others and try to take my same self-guidance as I'm giving it to them. So as I'm giving it to them, I actually coaching myself and listening and repeating it. And so as they're learning, I'm also learning. And then when I see their mistakes, I correct it my way. And then I teach them why they made the mistake. And then I'm doing all those things because in order to truly grow the company, I think the company, like I'm involved in like engineering, I'm involved in house building, I'm involved in handyman, I'm involved in buying materials, I'm involved in a kitchen and cabinet store, I'm involved in design services, I'm involved in VA, ADA certification. Like, I'm trying to get myself into surveying a little bit. I'm trying to learn the zoning stuff. I'm trying to learn the development of subdivisions and the rules and the guidelines, and I'm trying to be more involved with the parish when they hold council meetings and stuff, and trying to go to all these classes and trying to get mentoring from people that are retired and stepping out of the business and stuff. And so, and the reason why I'm doing that is because there's so many successful businesses that are closed down and they won't pass it to no one, right? They're just closed shop. Well, where do those clients go to? They go to somewhere. And then every time a hurricane or something hit, everybody leaves town. I don't. I stay right here. Pandemic hit, everybody closed shop. I invested 130 grand. It's kind of like, like where people are running and leaving and stuff. I'm just stuck because I realized that staying here has built a brand and an awareness and a name. And so like I told my daughter, we're kind of in a recession right now. Our money right now is kind of fluffed. I said, so the objective right now for me in my mind is to collect as much as that money as possible. That way, when we're not in a recession or whatever, and the money value goes back down, if you grab $1 million a year, it's like you grab 1.5. You know what I mean? And so in my head is collect as much as you can, right? And when the recession is gone, your value goes up. Will I retire then? I don't know. But it's the same thing. Like, will materials go back up? I mean, just 7 months ago, I was like 70 grand to build a house. I waited 3 months. It went down 30,000, only cost me 42 for the materials. And now it's even down more. So is there going to be another gap soon? Should I be buying bulk and stocking up real quick and finding items that shot up on me? You know what I mean? And keeping it in my 8,000 square foot facility, you know, and like, that's how I be thinking. I'm like, should I prepare for this? You know, and then that way, when everybody else is paying 70 grand, old Charlie Rick only paid 30. You know, that's how my mind works. Strategy. It's
Hey,
real
I mean,
true. Go ahead.
no, you're absolutely correct. That's the way a business owner should be thinking about things, right? Is thinking about ways that you can give yourself a leg up on the competition compared to the economy, whatever it is that you're dealing with. You've always got to be forward looking at the strategy and how am I going to lead my company through this no matter what, right? Because recessions happen. I talk about this all the time. There have been 13 recessions since World War II. So it's not an abnormal thing. These things happen. We just have to prepare for them and manage through them.
So one good thing about West St. Tammany Business Line when I was part of their group is they always showed like inspirational videos and stuff. And I still remember one of these videos that they showed. You got a guy on the left on a graph and a guy on the right on the graph. They both have $1 million in work. They both have the same subs, same materials and everything. But the guy on the left, I mean, identical, 100% identical. The guy on the left is filing bankruptcy. The guy on the right is profiting 25, 30%. What is the difference between the two, right? You know what it was? The one on the left is ripping and running. The one on the right is thinking about how can I get my pie? You're on a pie chart. There's a $100 bill. The one on the left makes $10 because he's ripping and running. Ain't thinking about how much money he's making. He's just completing the job. The one on the right is like, whoa, I'm not gonna start that job yet. Hold on, let me figure this out. If I do this and this and this before I start, I can make 25%. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Well, the guy on the right is thinking, that's me. I'm not this guy over here. If you ripping and running, that's crazy. You need to step the hell back, take a breather, right, and say, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like when I had Charlie sheds when I was younger. And everything I've ever told people I was going to do, I'd do it. And I remember telling my guys many times, you see those boys walking in that house over there doing that easy work like that, putting in fans and doorknobs and stuff, we're going to do that one day. I said, we're not going to do it right now because we're too young. People don't respect us that way yet. I was 21. They expected a 21-year-old man to do a deck, build a shop, do a fence, construction man, get your ass out there, bust your ass. They respect you. They didn't want you in the house. All right. But I noticed that when I hit like 35, whole mind change. 40, bro, I'm 41 now, but when I hit 40, another mind change. Blows your mind what age does too. People can say they don't use age, but that is not true. Age is definitely a must. And so this is what I would recommend anybody that's 20 in business for themselves, to be honest with you. Quit rushing. That's what I would say. Wait for your time, be patient, learn from your mistakes, learn from others, let people coach you. You still got to choose your own choice. You can have 100 people tell you things. You don't have to listen to none of those 100 people. You still got to make the choice. But those 100 people are going to give you advice. Look at what everybody's giving you, come with a conclusion at the end, and make your choice. That's how I do everything in life. I just take a bunch of information in, I study that information, and I make a choice at some point which benefits myself in the way that I think it should be. And sometimes my choice may be wrong, and that's where failure comes in, but that's life. You know what I mean? We all gonna fail, bro. Every one of us. So
absolutely. Well, I'll just add real quick, if you're a business owner that's listening to this program and you have not read the book Profit First by Michael Michalowicz, I'd recommend that you read it. And Charlie, if you haven't read it, you should read it as well. Or listen to it on Audible or whatever. But it's talking about what you were just talking about, where you've got to build in the profit first. If you can't build in the profit first and you can't run a profitable company, you can't help anybody else either anyway. So you have to focus on profit first. You have to know your numbers. You have to know how to read your numbers, and you have to build a company that's profitable, and then everything else can kind of grow from there. But you've got to run it based on profit to begin with.
You know what I did before we did our Zoom?
What's that?
Last month, when y'all, a couple months ago, y'all invited me, and I was like, I blew it off. And then I finally just committed one day on LinkedIn. I was like, screw it, let's do it. We did our little meeting, right? But when we got done, I was like, I got to see what this is really about. So I started watching everybody. Every morning I go to the gym, play somebody else. Well, the reason why I did that, I just wanted to see what it was about. I wanted to see what was different, what was not. The reason why, I noticed real quick that I had a lot in common with a lot of them. Almost every businessman now, maybe not the same with this guy or this guy, but I had something that's like that guy. And so then I did that before we did our video. I wanted to make sure that it was something I wanted to do. And another reason why I did that is because that's what the guy on the right did. He went and studied.
Yep.
In order to have a successful Zoom or a video or a conference, you got to at least know what you're jumping into. If not, it's like, whoa, you just got thrown in the water and your ass just got, yeah.
Yep. You gotta be prepared for everything that you're doing. That's for sure. And plan appropriately.
I was told not to cuss. I done cussed like 3 times. I got to watch it. At least I ain't say the F word yet.
Yeah, that's true. No, I think, Charlie, you've given us some great things to think about. Mentoring obviously is extremely important. Switching from blue collar to white collar mindset, I think was a big thing that you hit on that was extremely important, that a lot of people could benefit, specifically in the blue collar trades types businesses. And then beginning with the end in mind, right? I mean, you've probably read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but when you build a business, it's not that you have to know exactly how you're going to build it and how you're going to exit it and when, right? Because you even said you're not sure how you want to exit your business, but you are thinking about it and you're thinking, okay, I don't want to just shut my business down like so many people do. I want to build a business that can be sold, or there's, like you said, dividends or profit sharing or all those kinds of things that continue well into retirement for you. And so thinking about those types of things is a great lesson for all business owners as well. And I appreciate you bringing those things up.
Legacy, baby.
Yeah.
When you grow up hard and you grow up in the streets, like I was that guy people didn't want in their houses when I was 8, 9, 10 years old because of things that my mom did. People thought that we were terrible, like there was something wrong. I'll tell you this, I changed my stripes purposely. I chose to change my stripes. I chose not to let this world make me into what they thought I would be, and chose to take this path into the direction that I wanted to go. And I stand for what I think is right, what I think is wrong. And I lead by example so that whenever these younger kids and all these people have seen me growing up, they get to look at an example. They don't get to look at somebody preaching to them, because I'm going to walk when I'm preaching, going to talk and walk at the same image. You're never going to catch me saying one thing, walking this way and walking this way and saying this. I'm always going to stand prideful and be a good man and do what I'm supposed to as a man. And I think that's what helps me become successful. And I think that's what helps me run my business right. And I think that's why I have so many people that believe in with me and they walking with me and we're strong together, is because of those things that, I don't know why I just said that, but I sure triggered to it. Yeah.
No, I think that's another great point, right? I mean, we've all got to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And you're definitely doing that, growing up the way that you grew up, and you had to physically make a decision to be different and to not let your circumstances growing up dictate who you became as a man. And so
that's a fact. Well, this world will lead us, huh? The world will tell you what you can be. It's a fact. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. They tried with me. I wouldn't allow it. I chose my path. That's a fact. Don't let the world lead you. You lead yourself. You know what I mean? And that was something that took me many, 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 many years to figure out. And it's probably I probably still got a lot to damn figure out. I'm only 41, but I would tell you, I'm finding a lot of peace as I age, and a lot of more calmness, and it's very good for the soul, and it's very good for everybody around you when you start finding yourself and you finding ways to cope with your past and in your future, and you try to grow as a mature man and not a wild stallion. You know what I mean? And so it's a big difference. It's a hard change to face. It's almost like going from white collar to blue collar. When I was younger, I was raised that the white collar people are pricks, they're dicks, they're assholes. But I've noticed as I get older, it ain't really about that. It's really about they're tired of the blue collars trying to mooch. Give me this, you owe me this, give me this, give me that. It's happened to me. So it ain't like I'm a dick to that person. I'm just like, I'm done with your shit. Please step up, throw your boots on, throw your belt on, throw your shirt on, and go to work. We good. I got you. You come to work, we good. But if you think you're going to go smoke some weed, go drink some alcohol, do some drugs, watch some TV, and you think I'm about to toss you this money I'm working for, ain't about to happen. You know what I mean? That's the difference. That's what I learned from my older generation that have spoiled kids and all this stuff. They want to just give them everything for free. I give everybody everything too, but they're about to go work just like I got to work for it. That's something that a lot of people aren't teaching no more. They're teaching these kids to be lazy. They teach them to sit around a fucking games. Excuse my language. I just said the F word. I said I wasn't gonna do that. You know, they need to get them in the office, teach them how to reconcile a checkbook. Like, it took me a minute to teach my daughter how to reconcile a checkbook, and she didn't understand it, but she understands it now, right? And now she's knocking my stuff out the park. It's very important to teach somebody how to sit there. And they're like, what is reconciling? Well, son, hold on, come here. You know, and then you're like, you just put 5 items out. Mark them off for me. All right. How many items you got left? 0. Okay. That's reconciling, baby.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yep. You're absolutely right. All right, Charlie, I feel like we could talk for the next couple of hours, but we've come to the end of our time. So for those who are listening, if they want to get in touch with you because they just want to, you know, talk to you about what it is that you're doing, or they have, you know, need of the services that you provide through the myriad of companies that you have under the Charlie Rick name, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
All right. So I would probably say this. I definitely didn't do the video to get work. If you want to look me up, it's www.charlierick.com. If you would like to have some mentoring or something like that, or if you'd like to discuss some things about your business or would like just an extra voice or something like that, I would say email me, charlie@charlierick.com. I was invited on the show to give some information and hopefully help someone. I'm all about that. I'm all about guiding people, giving advice, and trying to help you fill in the circle. And so if you ever would like to talk or even look me up, more than glad to. Again, that's www.charlierick.com, and my email is charlie@charlierick.com.
Well, appreciate the conversation, Charlie. Look forward to staying in touch and watching as Charlie Rick, you know, continues to grow as well. So thank you so much for being willing to be on our show.
Another Zoom in 1 year.
We'll get an update in a year. You heard it here first.
You've been listening to Tycoons of Small Biz, a podcast for small business owners by small business owners. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Arizona time for an introduction to another great tycoon. And be sure to follow us on our social media channels for links to all of our episodes and great content.